What if I told you, tonight, while the world sleeps, something sacred is waiting just for you? Not another routine, not just sleep, but a quiet miracle, where God Himself leans close and whispers, "I will renew your body tonight." This isn't just a message, it's an invitation, an answer to the exhaustion you've carried silently for far too long. So don't scroll, stay, because in the next few moments you'll hear a story that may feel like it was written for your soul, a story of healing, of stillness, and of divine renewal that begins right where you are. This could be the turning point your heart has been waiting for. There comes a moment in every life when silence is no longer optional, when even the noise we once welcomed, the hum of the city, the endless scroll of glowing screens, the voices in our own minds, becomes unbearable. A moment when the weight of exhaustion becomes so familiar, it feels like a second skin, and the body quietly whispers what the heart is too afraid to say. I can't go on like this. And yet, in that exact moment, not before, not after, God speaks. Not through thunder, not through fire, not with a blinding flash or a booming voice. He speaks in a whisper that cuts through your weariness, like lightning in a dark sky. Be still, I will renew your body tonight. Most won't hear it. The world has trained us to miss such quiet. But to the soul that has finally stopped pretending, the words land like a miracle. And once heard, they cannot be unheard. This is not a message of vague comfort or shallow sentiment. It's a declaration, a divine intervention. God is not suggesting you take better care of yourself. He is not recommending a nap or asking politely if you might consider winding down earlier. No, He is calling you into stillness, not as a break from life, but as a return to it. Because He sees what you've been hiding behind your smile. He knows what aches in your bones, even when the medical tests come back clear. He watches the way you wake up tired and go to bed even more worn down, the way your body flinches from stillness because you're afraid that in the quiet, the pain will roar. But tonight, God's message is not about pain, it's about renewal. And it begins with one powerful invitation: come and be still with me. Stillness is terrifying for many. It feels like surrender. It feels like doing nothing. But in the kingdom of God, stillness is sacred action. It is agreement. It is obedience. It is the moment you stop wrestling and start receiving. We've confused productivity with purpose, and in doing so, we've forgotten how to rest. Not just sleep, true rest. The kind that penetrates your spirit, heals your nervous system, and brings clarity to the fog of constant striving. God's invitation tonight is not a self-care trend. It's a spiritual return to design. You were never made to function at full speed forever. Even machines break down without maintenance. Your body is not a machine. It's a miracle, and it requires reverence. God, in His love, is drawing you into a sacred rhythm. Rest, receive, renew. He created the night not as a blank space to be filled with noise, but as a temple for repair. In Genesis, the evening comes before the morning. Night is the beginning, not the end. God works while you rest. He renews while you release. This is His divine pattern woven into the fabric of existence. But we resist it. Why? Because stillness exposes us. Stillness reveals the pain we've ignored, the anger we've buried, the grief we've postponed. It calls forward everything we've tried to keep down with busyness and entertainment. And yet that's precisely why God meets us there. He doesn't ask you to clean it up before you come. He meets you in the mess, in the disorientation, in the numbness, in the ache. His invitation to stillness isn't an exam, it's an embrace. Have you noticed that healing often begins with tears? Not dramatic breakthroughs, not instant solutions, just tears. The body's first response to safety. God's stillness is the space where your body finally realizes it can let go. Imagine your soul unclenching. Imagine your shoulders releasing. Imagine your heartbeat slowing to a holy rhythm, not because you fixed your problems, but because you surrendered them. This is what God is offering you tonight. Not escape, not denial, but healing. Tonight's renewal does not depend on your performance. It is not earned. It is given, freely, lavishly, silently. While the world sleeps and the stars hold watch, God begins His work in you. He gently repairs what was worn. He rewires what was damaged. He reawakens what had gone numb. You may not see it instantly, but tomorrow morning, if you truly receive His rest, you will notice something. A softness in your spirit, a calm in your chest, a hope that doesn't need explaining. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of divine restoration. Let me ask you, when was the last time you let yourself be held by God? Not in church, not during prayer, but in bed, in the dark, with nothing to prove. When was the last time you believed that sleep could be sacred? This is not poetic. This is theological. Jesus Himself slept in a storm because He trusted the one who held Him. Tonight, He asks you to do the same. Let the chaos swirl outside. Let the future remain unanswered. Let the wounds remain unhealed. For now, God isn't asking you to fix anything. He's asking you to lay it down, breathe, let go, receive. Your healing begins not when you figure it out, but when you finally stop trying to. What if tonight was the turning point? Not because you forced it to be, but because you finally allowed it to be. What if your body, tired, stiff, bruised by life, isn't failing you, but calling you back home? What if the exhaustion you feel isn't weakness, but a holy signal, a divine alarm reminding you that you are not limitless, but you are loved? God never asked you to carry it all. He asked you to come and rest. Tonight, when the house is quiet and the world feels far away, turn your attention inward, not to analyze, not to judge, simply to notice. That sacred noticing of breath, of heartbeat, of thought is the beginning of intimacy. You are not a problem to solve. You are a soul to be renewed. And that renewal begins tonight. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how God uses the very design of your body to heal you during sleep. But for now, take this moment seriously. Don't rush past it. Be still. God is here, and He's already begun the work. Which of these truths feels more difficult to believe right now? A. God is working in me even when I'm doing nothing. B. My body deserves rest, even if I haven't finished everything. Comment A or B below and share why. Let's encourage one another on the path to true renewal. There's a holy work that begins the moment your eyes close, a process more sacred than most imagine, unfolding quietly beneath your skin, deep within your muscles, across the vast cathedral of your nervous system. And though the world dismisses it as unconsciousness, God calls it divine repair. While you sleep, He works. In the silent hours, while the house rests and the night holds its breath, the Creator moves through your being, not with thunder or spectacle, but with the steady rhythm of renewal. This isn't mere biology. This is His design in motion. You may not see it, but every night when you surrender to rest, your body listens for instruction. Your cells respond to ancient rhythms He established long before your first breath. Your breath deepens, your heartbeat slows, tension begins to release its grip, and within that calm, a miracle takes place. God renews your body tonight. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but physically, tangibly, deeply. Consider Ava, a 38-year-old mother of two from Charlotte, North Carolina. Ava had become a master of endurance. She wore tiredness like a badge of honor. Between raising her children, working full-time, caring for her aging parents, and trying to keep up the appearance of peace, her body had become a battlefield. Sleep was an afterthought, something to squeeze in if nothing else was left. But after a silent breakdown in the middle of a grocery store aisle, knees trembling, vision blurred, tears flowing without warning, she heard something she hadn't expected. That night, alone in her car, with hands gripping the steering wheel like a life raft, she heard it. "Let me carry you. I will renew your body tonight." She didn't know where the voice came from. It wasn't audible, but it was undeniable. Something within her cracked wide open. That night, for the first time in years, she laid down not out of duty, but out of surrender, and something began to shift. Not everything changed overnight, but Ava noticed that in the mornings her chest felt less tight. Her thoughts were clearer. She wasn't snapping at her kids before school. Her bones still ached, but now they ached with healing, not with collapse. Her sleep became sacred, and her healing flowed. God was renewing her, quietly, faithfully, night by night. What happened in Ava's life isn't unique. It is the pattern of God's presence. We've just forgotten how to recognize it. You see, God doesn't wait until you're fully awake to begin His restoration. He begins when you release control, when you lay down not just your body, but your worries, when you stop rehearsing the day and start receiving His peace. And this isn't wishful thinking. This is embedded in how He made you. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a sacred rhythm. When you sleep, your body enters cycles designed to heal. Your muscles regenerate. Your immune system strengthens. Hormones recalibrate. Your brain files and clears. What the world calls unconscious is, in fact, the most intentional repair your system knows. And God oversees every moment of it. Job once described how God speaks in dreams when deep sleep falls upon men, whispering instruction and sealing guidance into their hearts. Psalm 127:2 reminds us that He gives His beloved sleep. Not just sleep, but sleep as a gift, as a symbol of trust, as a doorway to His touch. Tonight, that gift is being offered to you, but not everyone accepts it. Many resist because rest feels too much like surrender, and surrender feels too much like losing. But what if surrender isn't defeat? What if surrender is the posture that allows healing? What if tonight, lying in your own bed with the weight of your week pressing against your chest, you could turn over all of it, every pressure, every regret, every unfinished task, and believe this one thing: God is working while I rest. Let that truth settle in. You do not have to fix everything before tomorrow. You do not have to earn rest. You were made to receive it. In fact, the resistance you feel, the racing mind, the endless to-do list, the ache in your joints, the twitch of your eye, the shallow breathing, these are not flaws. They're alerts, messages, divine notifications. God built your body with warning signs, not to punish you, but to guide you. They are invitations to enter the healing flow. Let's talk about this sacred process more tangibly. There is a difference between lying down and letting go. Many lie down and scroll, worry, rehearse failure. The body may be still, but the soul is thrashing. The healing flow does not begin in posture alone. It begins in intention. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, consider these holy actions. Close your eyes and whisper this prayer: God, I give you what I can't carry. I trust you with what I cannot fix. Let my body receive what my mind resists. Heal me even now. Turn off the harsh lights and replace them with soft, golden warmth. Light reminds your body that peace is near. Light signals comfort. It speaks safety. Lay your hands gently over your chest and feel the quiet thump of your heart. This is the rhythm God placed inside you before you spoke a word. Let it remind you that you are still here, you are still alive, and life is God's declaration that your renewal is not yet finished. You may cry, you may not, but something sacred will move inside you. Still not sure this is real? Let me tell you about Thomas, a 46-year-old firefighter in rural Oregon. After 2 decades of service, 5 surgeries, and a decade of unprocessed grief from losing friends in the line of duty, he thought healing was impossible. I thought sleep was just avoidance, he told me. I believed if I wasn't pushing, I was failing. But then came a night he could no longer push. His body collapsed during a routine drill. Doctors found nothing wrong, But Thomas knew his soul was sounding the alarm. That night, as he laid in his dark hospital room, unable to sleep, he felt something unusual. Not fear, not anxiety, a presence, like someone was sitting beside the bed, not to scold, not to fix, but to stay. And he heard deep in his chest these words, "Let me carry the weight now, you've done enough. Let me do the rest." And sleep came for hours. When he woke, he didn't leap out of bed. He didn't feel euphoric, but he felt something different. Relief. Relief that he didn't have to be the strong one anymore. That healing wasn't his responsibility alone. That God was more than just a distant overseer. He was a hands-on healer. This is the same presence that meets you tonight. You don't have to understand the process. You just have to allow it. God renews through the night, not in spite of sleep, but because of it. Rest isn't just a gift, it's a spiritual agreement. It says, "I trust you enough to stop. I believe you are active when I am still." When your head touches the pillow tonight, don't let it be an ending. Let it be an altar. Lay your day there, lay your pain there, lay your plans there, and listen. You may not hear an audible voice, but your body will know, your spirit will respond, and your soul will exhale. Because God keeps his promise. He will renew your body tonight. The human body is not just flesh and blood. It is a sanctuary, a sacred vessel, a divine masterpiece. Every joint, every breath, every heartbeat is a living prayer, an echo of the Creator's wisdom. And yet many of us walk through life treating our bodies like burdened machines instead of beloved temples. We measure their value by performance, appearance, endurance. But God never asked us to hustle our way into worth. He asked us to honor what he made. Tonight's renewal, yes, the one he promised when he said, "I will renew your body tonight," requires more than sleep. It requires a deeper awareness, an awakening to the divine partnership between body and spirit. Because when God begins to heal, he heals holistically. He does not separate the soul from the body. He speaks to both, moves through both, restores both. To ignore the body is to ignore half the miracle. Let's return to Ava in Charlotte. Her nights had begun to transform, gentle rest replacing anxiety, her morning breath deepening, her posture softening. But there was one moment that changed everything. One morning, just before dawn, she felt an urge to step outside. The house was quiet, her family still asleep, and the air, cool, clear, sacred. She walked barefoot into her backyard and stood there under the pre-dawn sky. Birds hadn't started singing yet. The stars were still visible. There was only silence and her breath. And it was in that moment that she heard it, not with her ears, but with her whole being. Your body is a prayer in motion. It stopped her, not because the phrase was poetic, but because it was deeply, painfully, beautifully true. For years, Ava had treated her body like an enemy, a problem to fix, a project to perfect. She had ignored its signals, belittled its needs, shamed its softness. But here God was, not scolding, not demanding, but gently reminding her, "I made this, I love this, I live in this." Her tears fell freely, not in sadness, but in sacred acknowledgement. Ava began to move differently after that. Slowly, intentionally, with reverence. She took up what she called healing walks, daily moments of quiet movement with no phone, no podcast, no pressure. Just her, God, and the steady rhythm of steps. That's where healing accelerates. When we start listening to our bodies not as inconveniences, but as partners in the process. The truth is, your body speaks constantly. It tells you when you're holding too much. It aches when you ignore your limits. It trembles when fear hasn't been addressed. It stiffens when anger simmers beneath the surface. Every signal is sacred. Every sensation is a whisper from within. Please pay attention. But so many of us were never taught to honor those messages. We push through, we override, we numb with caffeine, drown with distractions, silence with shame. But healing begins with listening. God designed your body to restore itself with His help. Every night, your cells work on your behalf. Every morning, your breath returns to greet the sun. But what if we partnered with that process instead of resisting it? Let's explore that. What does it mean to live in divine partnership with your body? It means blessing your meals, not just as tradition, but as a prayer of gratitude for nourishment that becomes you. It means stretching, not to perform, but to listen, to feel where tension lives and release it gently. It means noticing fatigue, not as weakness, but as wisdom. It means laying hands over your own heart when grief arises, not to suppress it, but to say, God, I welcome you here. It means asking your body questions you never thought to ask. What do you need from me right now? Where am I holding emotion that needs release? Is this ache physical or spiritual or both? This isn't mysticism. This is Jesus in the wilderness, in gardens, by rivers, on hillsides, living fully embodied, showing us that holiness and humanity were never meant to be enemies. Even Thomas, the firefighter from Oregon, began to shift his view after his night of divine encounter. After returning home from the hospital, he started greeting each morning with what he called a check-in. He'd sit on the edge of the bed, feet flat on the ground, hands resting lightly on his knees, and breathe slowly, prayerfully. God, he'd whisper, thank you for this body. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you that I don't have to be perfect to be whole. His joints still creaked. His scars didn't vanish, but his body no longer felt like a prison. It felt like a friend. This is the work of renewal, not the removal of all struggle, but the infusion of sacred connection. God's Spirit in your body, not just for eternity, but for today. And from this renewed relationship flows a life of deeper obedience. Because when you treat your body like a temple, you stop misusing it. When you recognize your body as holy, you stop shaming it. When you understand that your very existence is a reflection of God's creativity, you start protecting what He's entrusted to you. That's why tonight's promise, I will renew your body tonight, is not just a comfort, it's a commission. It's a call to participate. He won't force rest on you. He won't impose peace. He offers, He invites, He waits for you to align. So tonight, ask yourself, how can I join this renewal? Maybe it's a slow, reverent shower, not to rush, but to release. Letting the water become a prayer of cleansing, not just dirt, but the dust of disappointment. Maybe it's a gentle meal, eaten without a screen, in gratitude, recognizing every bite as sustenance God ordained. Maybe it's breath work, not as a wellness trend, but as a sacred inhale of God's Spirit, an exhale of anxiety. Maybe it's writing a note to your own body. Thank you for staying with me. I'm sorry for the times I spoke unkindly. I'm ready to begin again. Healing is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's found in the way your fingers stop trembling, the way your chest opens when you laugh, the way your feet carry you to the window just to feel the sunlight. Small signs, big meaning, and you don't have to do it alone. God's Spirit lives within you, yes, but He also surrounds you through the community He sends. Ava, after months of quiet healing, began hosting a weekly walk with 3 other women in her neighborhood. No agenda, just gentle movement, shared prayers, honest check-ins. She called it Body and Soul. And every Thursday morning, they met in the park before sunrise, whispered blessings over one another, and reminded each other of the truth. We are still being renewed. That's the beauty of divine partnership. It multiplies. Your healing spills into others. Your gentleness becomes their mirror. Your reverence invites their own. Tonight, as you lie down once again, remember this. Your body is not a delay to your spiritual life. It is the stage where it's playing out. When you care for it, you honor God. When you listen to it, you hear echoes of His voice. When you renew it, you welcome His presence. So let every stretch be sacred. Let every step be intentional. Let every sigh be permission. You were never meant to carry it all, but you were always meant to carry His Spirit, with gentleness, with reverence, with hope. Your body and your spirit, they're not separate stories. They're chapters in the same sacred book. And tonight, God is turning the page. There's a quiet war happening behind your eyes. A battle no one sees, but one that affects everything you touch, everything you say, everything you believe. It's the war of the mind, a sacred battlefield where thoughts either build peace or breed chaos. And in that quiet, invisible realm, God is whispering again, I will renew your body tonight, but I will also restore your mind. Because God knows what we often forget. You cannot separate the body from the mind. Your thoughts bleed into your muscles. Your worries echo in your spine. Your self-criticism digs trenches in your nervous system. What happens in your head doesn't stay there. It travels through you, shaping how you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you sleep. But God never intended your thoughts to be a torment. He intended them to be a conversation, a dialogue between your heart and His Spirit. Let's go back to Ava. Weeks into her healing journey in Charlotte, she noticed something strange. Her body felt lighter, yes. Her sleep deeper. Her breath fuller. But her mind still spun. At night, even after a peaceful evening, she'd lay down and her thoughts would begin to race. Memories, regrets, future worries, endless loops of what if and I should have. I felt like I was being chased, she said one morning in her journal, by invisible voices that wouldn't let me rest. One night she reached her limit. Her body was ready to rest, but her thoughts weren't. So she got out of bed, wrapped herself in a soft blanket, and sat on the back porch, watching the moon. And there, in that cool stillness, she whispered, God, why does my mind fight me when I want peace? The answer didn't thunder, it drifted. Because your mind needs rest too, and it doesn't know how. That moment unraveled something deep. Ava realized she had never treated her thoughts as sacred. She judged them, she feared them, she tried to silence them with distractions, but she had never welcomed them into healing. And so she began a new practice. Each night before bed, she'd take 10 minutes to write down 3 thoughts that haunted her, and then she'd write 3 truths from Scripture to answer them. I'm failing as a mom. My grace is sufficient for you. 2 Corinthians 12:9. I'll never get it all done. Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. I'm not enough. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. Over time, something powerful happened. Her thoughts started shifting, not overnight, but gradually, gently, just like her body. Her mind began recognizing safety. Her inner dialogue softened. Her mental spirals slowed. Because she wasn't fighting her thoughts anymore, she was inviting God into them. This is what God's whisper in the darkness does. It doesn't shout over your pain. It doesn't shame you for struggling. It simply reminds you, I'm here, let me help you reframe. If you've ever laid in bed staring at the ceiling, knowing your body needs rest, but your mind won't stop spinning, you're not broken. You're human, and you're not alone. Even Thomas, our firefighter from Oregon, faced this same war. After years of physical trauma and emotional suppression, he believed that mental strength meant never wavering. But during his recovery, he began to hear the same whisper Ava had heard. Let me into your thoughts. He resisted at first. Men like him didn't process emotions. But God was relentless in His gentleness. And one night, after waking from a dream of a fire he couldn't extinguish, Thomas sat down and did something that shocked him. He started talking to God, not formally, not theologically, just honestly. I'm scared, I'm not okay. I hate the guilt I feel. I don't know how to let go of what I've seen. And in that conversation, something broke open, not with fire, but with softness, with presence. God's healing had reached his mind. You see, healing the mind is different than healing the body. The body shows progress in strength, flexibility, energy, but the mind, it reveals healing through clarity, calm, and kindness. It's subtle, often invisible, but deeply transformational, and it begins with choice. Every thought is a seed. When you rehearse anxiety, you water it. When you speak fear, you strengthen it. But when you begin to plant hope, even if shaky, even if small, God partners with that hope and breathes life into it. That's why God gives us tools. Not just commands, but tools. Breath prayers, little phrases you repeat as you inhale and exhale. Inhale, you are with me. Exhale, I will not fear. Journaling, not to vent, but to witness your growth. Write down your thoughts and then write God's truth beside them. Scripture meditation, 1 verse, 1 minute. Let it settle like rain over dry ground. And here's something new, Ava's favorite nighttime habit, the worship soundscape. Each night she puts on a curated playlist, not loud music, not lyrics to sing to, but ambient worship. Gentle sounds of nature layered with soft, worshipful melodies. It's not just music, it's a sacred atmosphere. Her children now call it the evening hush. It has become their family's reminder that night is not just an end, but a beginning. Because when you create a sacred atmosphere for your thoughts, your mind begins to believe what your soul already knows. God is here, and healing is possible. But here's the hard truth. Many of us don't believe we deserve peace of mind. We think our mistakes disqualify us, that our pasts are too messy, our thoughts too scattered. But the cross says otherwise. Jesus didn't die for your soul alone. He died to redeem your whole being, mind included. So tonight, as your body prepares for rest, invite your mind to join. Light a candle, breathe slowly, whisper this prayer. God, I give you every thought, the heavy ones, the racing ones, the ones I don't understand. I trust you to renew them, and then trust that He will, because He promised it. I will renew your body tonight. That includes your mind, your memories, your imagination, your fears, your hopes. God doesn't just heal what others can see, He restores what only you know is broken. So when shame rises, counter it with truth. When doubt creeps in, answer with faith. When mental exhaustion threatens to unravel you, pause and listen. He's still whispering. You don't have to do this alone. You are not your anxious thoughts. You are not your worst day. You are not your intrusive fears or looping regrets. You are a beloved mind, held by a loving God. And tonight, He begins again. The sky doesn't rush into light. It begins with a hush, a slow softening of darkness, a pale line across the horizon. Then, moment by moment, light stretches across the quiet morning air, painting everything in gold. It's not loud, it doesn't scream, but it speaks. This is what renewal looks like, and this is where your story continues. God never meant for your healing to end with rest. His renewal wasn't just for last night, it's for this morning, this moment, this next step. He's not just the God who heals you as you sleep. He's the God who walks with you into your waking life, into your job, your errands, your responsibilities, your decisions, because He knows that the same soul He quieted under moonlight now stands blinking in the sunlight, wondering, what comes next? The answer? Grace, unforced, unhurried, holy grace. Ava understood this deeply. Months into her sacred healing rhythm in Charlotte, she found herself facing something she had long avoided: action. She had rested, she had received. Her body no longer felt like a battlefield, and her mind had begun to believe truth over lies. But now she stood in the hallway one quiet morning, her children's lunchboxes lined up on the counter, her husband still sleeping, the sun peeking over the backyard fence, and a question whispered through her spirit. Will you carry this peace into the day, or will you leave it on your pillow? She realized that for all her internal renewal, she had not yet learned how to live it out loud. Her kindness to herself ended at sunrise. Once the day began, old habits returned. The rush, the anxiety, the irritation, the performance. And so she made a choice. She wouldn't leave her renewal in the dark. She would rise with it. Ava began crafting a morning routine, not as a checklist, but as a liturgy. a sacred rhythm to echo the healing she received each night. She called it the gentle start. It included 3 simple steps. 1. Sunrise prayer, a quiet moment facing the east, whispering thanks for waking breath. 2. Gratitude journal. Just 2 lines each morning, 1 thing she was grateful for in her body, 1 in her life. 3. Intentional movement, stretching, walking, or dancing softly in her kitchen with worship music playing. This small act of discipline transformed her mornings. She wasn't perfect at it. Some days she forgot. Some days she didn't feel like it. But she noticed a powerful truth taking root. The way you start your day determines how you carry your healing. God had renewed her overnight, but the sunrise was her chance to say yes again. Yes to softness. Yes to trust. Yes to moving through the world as someone deeply loved. Thomas, back in Oregon, had his own version. For him, it was less about rituals and more about how he showed up in everyday moments. After years of pushing through trauma, his healing journey now called him to be present in ways he never imagined. He started making breakfast for his teenage daughter every morning, not because she needed the food, but because he needed the connection. I wanted her to feel what I was starting to believe, he said once, that we're worth showing up for. His mornings became quieter but not empty. They were filled with intention, with presence, with grace that walked. And so we ask again, what does renewal look like in motion? It looks like choosing calm over chaos, even when you're running late. It looks like breathing deeply in the parking lot before you walk into work. It looks like pausing at lunch and thanking God for nourishment. It looks like catching your reflection in a mirror and speaking gently, "You're doing okay." It looks like offering forgiveness before the apology ever comes. It looks like letting your healed heart influence your tone, your decisions, your interactions. God's renewal is not a night-only miracle. It's a dawn-to-dusk companion. But to walk in it, you must reject the lie that says only big things count. You must let go of the idea that progress must roar, because more often than not, renewal whispers. It whispers in your ability to stay silent when anger rises, in the decision to go to bed at peace instead of revenge, in your courage to start again at 2 p.m. when your morning fell apart, in the way you answer your phone with patience instead of panic. These are not small things. These are the foundations of sustainable transformation. Because God isn't just interested in dramatic change. He's interested in durable change. And that comes not from one massive leap, but from repeated, holy, faithful steps. The same God who held you through your anxious nights now stands with you in your uncertain days. He's not only present when you're lying still, He's active when you move forward. You don't need to go back to how you used to live. You don't need to hustle for value. You don't need to chase what exhausts you. You've been renewed. Now live like it. And living renewed doesn't mean having it all figured out. It means trusting that your foundation is different now, firmer, calmer, stronger. Even if the waves return, even if the stress creeps in, your roots are deeper. You are no longer surviving, you are rising. God has declared it over you. I will renew your body tonight. And He's done it again and again. And now He's inviting you to rise, not just from your bed, but from your old patterns, your old fears, your old ways of carrying pain. Let Ava's story remind you your healing doesn't have to be loud to be real. Let Thomas's story affirm this. Your healing can reach others without words. Let your own story begin again this morning. Let it begin with one gentle act of obedience. And if you fall back into old ways, rise again. Grace is not a one-time gift, it's a sunrise promise. So before you open your inbox, before you scroll, before you react, pause, touch your heart, feel that beat, that sacred rhythm God placed in you, and whisper, God, walk with me. Let me carry your renewal into this day. You'll notice the difference, not in fireworks, but in steadiness. The way you start your day determines how you carry your healing. God had renewed her overnight, but the sunrise was her chance to say yes again. Yes to softness. Yes to trust. Yes to moving through the world as someone deeply loved. Thomas, back in Oregon, had his own version. For him, it was less about rituals and more about how he showed up in everyday moments. After years of pushing through trauma, his healing journey now called him to be present in ways he never imagined. He started making breakfast for his teenage daughter every morning, not because she needed the food, but because he needed the connection. "I wanted her to feel what I was starting to believe," he said once, "that we're worth showing up for." His mornings became quieter but not empty. They were filled with intention, with presence, with grace that walked. And so we ask again, what does renewal look like in motion? It looks like choosing calm over chaos, even when you're running late. It looks like breathing deeply in the parking lot before you walk into work. It looks like pausing at lunch and thanking God for nourishment. It looks like catching your reflection in a mirror and speaking gently, "You're doing okay." It looks like offering forgiveness before the apology ever comes. It looks like letting your healed heart influence your tone, your decisions, your interactions. God's renewal is not a night-only miracle. It's a dawn-to-dusk companion. But to walk in it, you must reject the lie that says only big things count. You must let go of the idea that progress must roar, because more often than not, renewal whispers. It whispers in your ability to stay silent when anger rises, in the decision to go to bed at peace instead of revenge, in your courage to start again at 2 p.m. when your morning fell apart, in the way you answer your phone with patience instead of panic. These are not small things. These are the foundations of sustainable transformation. Because God isn't just interested in dramatic change. He's interested in durable change. And that comes not from one massive leap, but from repeated, holy, faithful steps. The same God who held you through your anxious nights now stands with you in your uncertain days. He's not only present when you're lying still, He's active when you move forward. You don't need to go back to how you used to live. You don't need to hustle for value. You don't need to chase what exhausts you. You've been renewed. Now live like it. And living renewed doesn't mean having it all figured out. It means trusting that your foundation is different now, firmer, calmer, stronger. Even if the waves return, even if the stress creeps in, your roots are deeper. You are no longer surviving, you are rising. God has declared it over you. "I will renew your body tonight." And He's done it again and again. And now He's inviting you to rise, not just from your bed, but from your old patterns, your old fears, your old ways of carrying pain. Let Ava's story remind you your healing doesn't have to be loud to be real. Let Thomas's story affirm this. Your healing can reach others without words. Let your own story begin again this morning. Let it begin with one gentle act of obedience. And if you fall back into old ways, rise again. Grace is not a one-time gift. It's a sunrise promise. So before you open your inbox, before you scroll, before you react, pause, touch your heart, feel that beat, that sacred rhythm God placed in you, and whisper, "God, walk with me. Let me carry your renewal into this day." You'll notice the difference, not in fireworks, but in steadiness. Not in perfection, but in peace. Not in control, but in confidence. You are not who you were, not even yesterday. You are someone healing, someone growing, someone chosen to rise. And tomorrow, when night comes again, He'll be there, ready to renew you once more. Because His work in you never ends, not until you are fully whole. So walk today, not like someone trying to keep up, but like someone who has been deeply, profoundly restored. This is not the end of your healing. It's the beginning of your wholeness. What's one way you can carry your renewal into the day? A. Begin your day with intentional gratitude. B. Choose gentleness in one difficult conversation. Comment A or B below and let your small step become someone else's encouragement. This is how we rise together. Before you scroll away, Pause for one more breath. If these words have touched something deep inside you, if you felt seen, calmed, or simply reminded that you're not alone, then let this be your moment to carry it forward. You are not just a listener of this message. You are a part of it. Share this video with someone who needs the same reminder. A friend, a parent, a coworker, someone silently fighting a battle they don't speak of. Be the voice of calm in their storm. And if this message spoke to your soul, comment below. Let us know what part echoed in your heart. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You never know whose healing will begin because you spoke first. We're building something real here. One quiet breath, one honest word, one shared moment at a time. So stay close, stay open, and remember, this night and every night, God is not finished with you. He is renewing you right now, right here, and you are not alone.